ağlarında UFO gözüküyor.
Something tore through the night sky so violently, so impossibly, it shattered every certainty we had left.
No warning, no logic, no explanation, just a blinding burst of motion, captured on camera, stopping time itself before ripping the darkness open like a wound. One frame showed a silent disk hovering, as if the laws of physics were beneath it. The next captured a streak of pure light spiraling downward, bending reality as if it were nothing more than a curtain to be brushed aside. Witnesses froze, animals fled, and every person who saw the footage asked the same trembling question: what did it take, and where did it go? This wasn't a glitch, hoax, or trick of the eye. This was something calculated, predatory, and terrifyingly aware of us.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to support Mystery Footage Uncovered.
Classified object in storm. On open water in the North Atlantic, a cargo vessel deck cam operated by a watch officer recorded a massive metallic disc tilting downward through a wall of storm clouds as the ship heaved violently beneath it. A burning rim snapped sideways, caught on camera. The unidentified craft rotated against the crosswind, on camera. An impossible trajectory registered as the object halted mid-fall without visible thrust. Analysts suggest the craft's fluid yet angular transitions, moving as if guided by gravitational rails, could imply a propulsion system manipulating localized mass fields, possibly generating electromagnetic distortion and inertial damping, since it drifted like a buoy in water, yet launched forward like a jet ski hitting open throttle, echoing older maritime accounts of sky ships mistaken for omens during violent weather. If a machine can anchor itself in the heart of a storm, what prevents it from anchoring itself directly above our cities without warning? Unidentified arc above city. Over a dense European residential district, a passerby's smartphone captured a faint crescent-shaped object hovering unusually high between buildings as traffic noise echoed from below. A pale glow pulsed intermittently, caught on camera. The unidentified arc dipped against the still air, on camera. A sudden lateral shift produced an impossible trajectory with no acceleration curve. Analysts propose that the object's stabilizing arcs may indicate a directed energy envelope or gravity-modifying field, enabling it to hold orientation independent of atmospheric drag, since it hovered steady as a lantern on a string yet darted sideways like a startled bird, matching descriptions in Cold War pilot reports of luminous crescents, pacing aircraft without propulsion signatures. If something this quiet can choose when to appear, how often has it floated above crowded streets without a single witness looking up? Anomalous wreck at Roadside. Beside a fuel station on a rural highway, a parked car dashcam recorded emergency crews surrounding a bent metallic structure partially hidden under tarps as bystanders whispered from behind the windshield. A warped panel glinted unnaturally, caught on camera. The unidentified fragments showed nonlinear deformation, on camera. An impossible curvature suggested impact forces far beyond known aircraft tolerances. Analysts observing the frame data proposed that the twisted geometry of the wreck may indicate materials engineered for sudden inertial reversal or gravity-nullifying stress loads, since the metal folded like fabric, yet retained sections rigid as ceramic, echoing folklore-era accounts of fallen sky engines reported in frontier newspapers before aviation existed. If this is only the debris left behind, what larger structure may have departed the scene before authorities arrived? Triangle form in cloud bank. Above a dense cloud deck, a nighttime witness filmed a jet-black triangular craft gliding silently while two bright points shimmered beneath its hull. A sharp edge steadied itself, caught on camera. The unidentified triangle rotated without banking, on camera. An impossible motion occurred as it shifted direction with no inertia arc. Analysts reviewing the footage argue the craft's stability hints at gravity channeling propulsion that reduces mass effect drag while enabling abrupt vector changes, since it hovered like a fixed tower but vanished like a curtain being pulled aside, matching decades of reports describing silent, massive black triangles following aircraft. If a structure this large can move without sound, what else could be passing overhead beyond our senses? Disk above, cloud line. Through an aircraft window, a passenger recorded a smooth metallic disc sliding across the horizon above the cloud layer as sunrise ignited the sky in orange light. A silver rim flickered briefly, caught on camera. The unidentified disc shifted elevation abruptly, on camera. An impossible streak appeared as it accelerated with no atmospheric disturbance. Analysts propose that the craft's leveling behavior suggests a propulsion method that manipulates gravitational vectors directly, allowing controlled drift independent of turbulence, since it hovered steady as a water tank, yet vanished like a light switching off, echoing mid-century pilot sightings of polished saucers matching altitude without aerodynamic surfaces. If it can track a commercial airliner without detection, what intention drives it to shadow human flight paths? Massive craft over parking deck. Above a concrete parking platform, a bystander's phone recorded a colossal saucer hovering low enough to lift a compact green car effortlessly beneath its center, while pedestrians scattered in fear. A humming distortion wavered, caught on camera. The unidentified saucer held the vehicle suspended, on camera. An impossible stability persisted despite its massive size. Analysts suggest the craft's lifting mechanism may involve a concentrated gravitational well or electromagnetic compression field capable of counteracting mass without mechanical contact, since it steadied itself like a floating barge, yet repositioned with the agility of a drone, echoing global legends describing discs capable of seizing livestock and objects in silent beams. If a machine can casually manipulate the weight of a car, what stops it from testing the limits on far larger structures? Ring formation in low clouds. Above a suburban highway, a driver's dashcam captured a faint, circular pattern of evenly spaced lights rotating silently within a low cloud ceiling, barely visible until the camera auto-adjusted exposure. A pale ring shimmered faintly, caught on camera. The unidentified formation shifted laterally without wind influence, on camera. An impossible trajectory appeared as the circle elongated and then snapped back into perfect symmetry. Analysts suggest the luminous ring's coordinated motion could indicate a gravitational lensing field or electromagnetic suspension layer that allows a larger structure to remain hidden behind atmospheric scatter, since it hovered like a projected halo but twisted like a flexible chain under tension, matching scattered folklore references to sky wheels described in medieval manuscripts where circular apparitions moved independently of weather. If a craft can mask itself behind clouds using perfect geometry, what shapes might already be concealed above every overcast night? Triangular array with microlights. Over an urban plaza, a night walker's phone recorded a jet-black triangular craft drifting beneath a textured cloud layer, its surface studded with small white points that seemed to pulse in synchronized clusters. A sharp edge glinted briefly, caught on camera. The unidentified triangle maintained altitude without visible thrust, on camera. Anomalous motion appeared as its orientation reversed without rotation. Analysts propose the object's microlight distribution suggests a sensor grid or energy mapping lattice capable of reading atmospheric density in real time, supporting a propulsion system that may alter local gravity gradients since it hovered like a rigid slab yet pivoted like a loose leaf in the wind, behavior impossible for any known aircraft. If a machine can rewrite its orientation independent of aerodynamics, what prevents it from maneuvering directly through restricted airspace without ever being detected? Luminous disk over field. On a sloping pasture monitored by a stationary night vision surveillance unit, a blazing disk hovered above scattered figures moving across the hillside, illuminating the terrain with a harsh, artificial glow. A searing corona flared outward, caught on camera. The unidentified craft shifted position without motion blur, on camera. An impossible acceleration occurred as it surged forward, then froze instantly in place. Analysts suggest the craft's sharp, shadowless illumination may indicate a directed plasma emission or radiation-based propulsion envelope that negates inertia, since it floated like a lantern over water but darted like a startled swallow, behavior consistently referenced in early 20th century Foo Fighter encounters. If such a vehicle can scan an entire field of people silently, what determines whether it chooses to observe or to intervene? Entities at landed craft. In a rocky mountain basin, a helmet-mounted action cam captured humanoid figures standing near a large metallic disc resting on uneven ground, each figure turning in unison as the camera approached. A cluster of elongated forms pivoted sharply, caught on camera. The unidentified beings moved with unnaturally deliberate timing, on camera. An anomalous shimmer pulsed across the hull, suggesting energy redistribution, Analysts theorize the craft's surface ripples may indicate a living metallic composite or an active gravitational shell, rather than conventional plating, since the structure sat as heavy as a grounded boulder, yet emitted the soft resonance of running machinery, echoing cultural myths of sky visitors who walked among mountains long before aviation existed. If entities can emerge from a landed craft openly in daylight, what encounters might already have occurred far from any camera? Multicolored craft over shoreline. Above a twilight shoreline, a beachgoer's phone captured a low-flying disc emitting alternating green, blue, and red lights that reflected off the water's surface in near-perfect symmetry. A rotating light band flickered rhythmically, caught on camera. The unidentified craft hovered without rotor noise, on camera. An impossible trajectory appeared as it slid sideways with no tilt. Analysts propose that the shifting colors may indicate fluctuating energy states within a propulsion core designed to stabilize the craft's gravitational footprint, since it hovered as steady as a buoy yet strafed sideways like a chess piece, echoing historic coastal sightings in maritime logs describing colored wheels that paced shorelines silently. If craft like this patrol coastlines without detection, what patterns of movement are they mapping across our oceans? Metallic object beside Airliner. From a passenger seat overlooking the wing, a phone captured a polished metallic object pacing the Airliner at cruising altitude, remaining perfectly level as sunlight flashed across its curved surface. A reflective hull pulsed briefly, caught on camera. The unidentified object shifted bearing without turbulence. On camera, an impossible ascent occurred as it rose vertically without acceleration curve. Analysts suggest the object's stability relative to the aircraft implies a propulsion system using gravitational redirection rather than lift, enabling precise vector control even in high-altitude wind shear, since it held formation like a tethered drone, yet vanished like a shutter closing. If this craft can match a jetliner's speed effortlessly, what is it waiting to witness from such close proximity? Submerged disc at wreck site. Off a remote coastline, a scuba team's helmet cam recorded a corroded metallic disc wedged against the hull of a sunken cargo ship as a diver illuminated its vine-covered surface at close range. A tilted rim protruded from sediment, caught on camera. The unidentified hull displayed impossible uniform curvature. On camera, an anomalous fracture pattern appeared as the metal bent rather than shattered. Analysts suggest the disc's seamless construction, lacking rivets, welds, or recognizable alloys, could indicate non-terrestrial fabrication or a material engineered for extreme acceleration tolerance, since it lay heavy as an anchor, yet showed deformation consistent with sudden inertial reversal, echoing accounts from deep-sea legends of fallen stars retrieved by ancient mariners who described glowing domes sinking intact. If this structure has rested hidden beneath the waves for decades, what else might lie buried in ocean trenches beyond all human detection? Abduction beam in backyard. In a forested residential property, a monochrome security camera recorded a man being lifted vertically by a column of intense light while a dark figure stood below, staring upward in complete stillness. A narrow beam tightened around the man's torso, caught on camera. The unidentified craft hovered above the treetops, on camera. An anomalous levitation occurred, with no visible support mechanism. Analysts propose the beam's behavior suggests a controlled gravitational tractor field capable of manipulating biological mass with surgical precision, since the man rose rigid as a suspended mannequin, yet drifted slightly like an object in water, an effect mirrored in folklore from rural communities recounting silent takings beneath bright discs. If such a force can extract a person from their own backyard without resistance, what barrier remains between observation and mass removal? Field contact scenario. On a grassy plain near dense woodland, a handheld phone recorded 3 humanoid figures standing beside a landed disc, their limbs angled unnaturally as they observed the approaching witness. A reflective dome pulsed faintly behind them, caught on camera. The unidentified beings moved in synchronized increments. On camera, an anomalous flicker cut across the craft's rim as though space itself rippled. Analysts argue the craft's hovering stability despite resting on uneven terrain may imply localized gravity suppression, allowing it to float weightlessly while appearing grounded, since it sat still as a stone yet vibrated subtly like a tuned engine, matching historical sightings where occupants exited vehicles that behaved more like stabilized fields than machines. If these entities willingly stood exposed in daylight, what message were they prepared to deliver or to demonstrate? Megastructure over city road. Above a multi-lane avenue lined with trees, multiple witnesses filmed an immense disc-shaped megastructure drifting over the roadway, while two small humanoids walked calmly beneath it, hand in hand. A colossal underbelly glowed in perfect rings, caught on camera. The unidentified craft cast no conventional shadow, on camera. An impossible hover persisted despite its estimated mass. Analysts suggest the megastructure's unchanged altitude and lack of vibration could imply an energy field, nullifying gravitational drag entirely, since it loomed like a mountain suspended in fog, yet shifted forward like a gondola on invisible rails, aligning with ancient carvings depicting sky cities that visited civilizations long vanished. If a craft this large can cross populated areas without military response, what agreement or failure exists behind the scenes? Mass sighting above crowded street. Over a busy nightlife district, hundreds of bystanders recorded a bright rotating disc hovering low above rooftops, its colors shifting in symmetrical pulses as the crowd surged forward. A luminous ring cycled repeatedly, caught on camera. The unidentified object maintained altitude without rotor sound, on camera. An anomalous drop in ambient noise preceded a sudden lateral glide. Analysts believe the synchronized light pattern may indicate communication or scanning, potentially mapping electromagnetic signatures across the crowd, since the object drifted like a lantern, yet sprinted sideways like a sliding plate. Behavior consistent with 1980s mass sightings in Brazil and China, where crowds witnessed similar color-shifting discs. If it can silently survey thousands at once, what data has it already gathered from public gatherings worldwide? Airliner encounter. Leaked night footage. From a commercial jet's window, a passenger recorded a cluster of bright lights forming a structured craft pacing the airliner as fog swallowed the horizon beyond. A triangular light formation stabilized, caught on camera. The unidentified craft closed distance without turbulence, on camera. An impossible acceleration blurred the lights before instant repositioning. Analysts reviewing the leak proposed the craft's abrupt vector shifts may demonstrate a propulsion system decoupled from atmospheric friction, possibly manipulating space-time curvature directly, since it hovered steady as a broadcast tower, yet vanished like a shutter blink, aligning with documented military radar anomalies from transoceanic routes. If such craft can choose when to appear beside civilian aircraft, what message is being sent by revealing itself only briefly and only to random passengers? Luminous disk above river trail. Along a quiet riverside walking path, a jogger's phone captured a bright circular craft hovering low over the valley, its central light illuminating the foothills like an artificial moon. A steady ring glowed evenly, caught on camera. The unidentified object maintained altitude without drift, on camera. An anomalous stillness settled over the trees as nearby air refused to stir. Analysts propose the craft's perfectly stable hover may indicate an energy field counteracting gravitational pull with localized pressure cancellation, since it hung in the sky like a suspended lamp yet shifted forward like a gliding magnet. Behavior echoed in regional tales of night lanterns that guided travelers centuries earlier. If it can remain absolutely motionless above a populated trail, what prevents it from descending closer when the moment suits its purpose? Tri-light formation through cloud deck. From the cockpit of a small aircraft, a pilot's handheld camera recorded a bright cluster of lights moving beneath a dense cloud layer, illuminating mist from below and distorting its edges. A sharp tri-light configuration pulsed, caught on camera. The unidentified form drifted independently of cloud movement, on camera. An impossible vertical surge occurred without turbulence. Analysts argue the illumination pattern suggests a high-energy core capable of bending the surrounding moisture field, creating a diffused halo indicative of electromagnetic displacement, since it glided like a lantern on water but rose like a startled bird without momentum lag, similar to mid-century pilot reports of cloud miners extracting unknown material from storm systems. If it can navigate unseen below cloud cover, how often has it moved just out of view during commercial flights? Rotating ring over city plaza. Above a brightly lit skyline, Multiple bystanders filmed a circular, rotating structure drifting between skyscrapers, its underside flickering with icy blue arcs that swept across nearby glass facades. A band of rotating lights cycled smoothly, caught on camera. The unidentified ring maintained a perfect orbital pattern, on camera. An anomalous directional shift snapped it sideways, with no inertia arc. Analysts suggest the craft's controlled rotation might generate a stabilizing gravitational field that allows it to pivot on a fixed point in space, since it hovered like a stationary halo, yet darted away like a flat stone skipping across a lake. Matching descriptions in urban reports of spinning crowns seen above megacities in recent years. If it can maneuver freely through dense skylines, what prevents it from entering the buildings themselves? Streak light phenomenon in night sky. A group of residents standing along a residential street recorded a razor-thin luminous streak carving silently across the night sky, leaving no trail despite its brightness. A single line of fire glinted briefly, caught on camera. The unidentified projectile bent its path unnaturally, on camera. An impossible deceleration occurred mid-flight before it vanished. Analysts propose the object's erratic motion may indicate a propulsion system operating outside aerodynamic constraints, possibly realigning its trajectory using gravity warping impulses, since it shot forward like a meteor, but corrected itself like a laser pointer redirecting mid-movement. Behavior often linked to historical descriptions of sky arrows that ancient astronomers reported without explanation. If it can rewrite its path in defiance of velocity, what destination was it truly aiming for? Disk emerging from cave mouth. Near a limestone cavern complex, a tourist's zoomed phone footage captured a smooth, disc-shaped craft hovering just inside a massive cave opening, its underside glowing faintly as it drifted outward. A metallic rim shimmered at the threshold, caught on camera. The unidentified craft held position without touching rock, on camera. An anomalous vibration blurred its edges like heat haze. Analysts suggest the craft's proximity to the stone arch without collision implies precise spatial mapping, perhaps using electromagnetic contour scanning to create an invisible buffer zone, since it floated like a leaf on still water, yet surged forward like a magnet snapping towards steel, mirroring long-standing folklore of underground skygates hidden in mountain ranges. If such craft emerge from subterranean spaces, what lies beneath regions we consider solid ground? Silver object pacing airliner. From the window of a commercial jet, a passenger filmed a silver disc drifting parallel to the aircraft's altitude, its reflective surface intermittently catching sunlight as it held perfect formation. A polished hull flashed intermittently, caught on camera. The unidentified object maintained equal speed without turbulence, on camera. An anomalous ascent occurred as it climbed straight upward without acceleration curve. Analysts argue the object's effortless pacing indicates a propulsion system separate from atmospheric drag, possibly using controlled gravity wells to cancel wind resistance entirely, since it hovered like a tethered balloon, yet leapt upward like a curtain being yanked away, consistent with sightings along major flight corridors. If it can match a jetliner's speed with casual ease, how long has it been trailing aircraft unnoticed? Landing zone, luminescent disk. In an isolated desert basin, a long-range telephoto camera captured a massive disk resting just above ground level, its blue underbelly flooding the dust with rippling light as heat haze wavered around it. A circular pattern pulsed rhythmically, caught on camera. The unidentified craft remained motionless above the sand, on camera. An anomalous mist formed beneath it, despite dry air. Analysts suggest the shimmering layer below the craft could indicate a gravity nullification field ionizing particles in the air, allowing the object to sit perfectly suspended like a stone on glass, while shifting its glow like a machine breathing. Behavior mirrored in ancient desert inscriptions depicting hovering discs with radiant skirts. If such a vehicle can land silently in open terrain, what prevents it from doing so in populated areas without anyone noticing until too late? Small spherical probe on ground. Along a rural fence line at night, a handheld flashlight camera recorded a small glowing sphere hovering inches above the grass, rotating slowly as a faint hum vibrated the plants around it. A bright core flickered inside the orb, caught on camera. The unidentified sphere drifted without touching vegetation, on camera. An anomalous shadow moved independently of its light. Analysts propose the probe's rotating luminance might indicate a microreactor or scanning node mapping environmental signatures, since it floated like a soap bubble, yet pulsed like a heartbeat, behavior consistent with reports of scout lights observed before larger craft manifest. If this is merely a smaller reconnaissance unit, what larger machine might it be signaling to approach? Daytime disk over tree line. From a suburban backyard, an older camcorder recorded a dark disk gliding above treetops as its silhouette cut sharply against the bright afternoon sky without reflecting sunlight. A flat shadow extended beneath it, caught on camera. The unidentified disk changed direction abruptly on camera. An anomalous tilt occurred without altering speed. Analysts suggest the craft's lack of reflective signature may indicate an adaptive surface coating that absorbs or redirects light, enabling stealth even in broad daylight, since it moved like a glider but turned like a thrown coin, echoing mid-century sightings documented on degraded analog tapes. If it can hide its reflection so effectively, how many daylight flyovers have gone unnoticed? Static craft in Saudi desert. Across an open desert plain, a distant zoomed video captured a metallic object resting motionless above the sand as heat shimmer distorted